Hi, welcome to Restaurant Voice TV. I'm Katherine.
I'm Rami.
And today we're going to talk about how restaurants can use social media to their advantage. So we have our resident expert here. This is Joey McGeer. Welcome, Joey.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, sir. Welcome to our program. Okay, Joey, tell us a little bit about yourself and why people call you the why guy, an expert in social media.
So I get called a lot of things, and I stuck with the why guy because in my industry, my peers and colleagues refer to themselves oftentimes as gurus or experts, and social media is brand new. I mean, sure, it's several years old. Online social media, I should say, is brand new. Things like Twitter, Facebook, obviously MySpace, and we were all on AOL back around the turn of the century, but we don't know where that is now. Even at 12 years old, it's still really relatively new, and I don't consider myself an expert in social media. How could I with something as young as this? So oftentimes when somebody asks my colleagues or my peers about social media, like they want to get into social media, they want to have a presence on some type of online interactive media, my colleagues will say, yes, let's do it, let's go to town. And my usual gut response is why? And that's really helped a lot of people. And so when people started referring to me as the why guy in social media, it really resonated with me because I wasn't this master guru on a mountaintop that had figured it all out. I was going along with everybody else still on this path of exploration. And I still am. I still read numerous blog articles throughout the week and learn as I go along. I mean, even this morning I was reading in my email and learning about what's changing and what's new. So how can you possibly be an expert at something that's going to go completely 180 degrees tomorrow and you're going to be caught off guard? And so that's why I like the why guy. That's why I do that.
Good.
So when we talk to restaurant owners about social media, the question comes up like, okay, I get it. So I need to use social media, but how do I make sure that I'm targeting my demographic, the right demographic?
That's a great question. So everybody wants to know how you measure this stuff, right? With digital technology, we can slap an analytic on just about anything and get data. Very few restaurateurs, specifically people that actually work within the restaurant, the general manager or any of the staff, know how to interpret any of this data. And so it's important that they understand that certain various social networks out there give you this data for free, like Facebook, right? They give you analytic data so you know whether or not you're actually talking to your demographic. They tell you what your demographic is. So if you just create the page and don't do anything else and people happen to show up on their own, it's going to show you what that demographic is. That'll even give you marketing data that most businesses would pay a lot of money for. Other networks like Twitter don't give you as much analytic data, but they still kind of give you the temperature of who your audience is, people that are going to follow you regardless. The hard part about that for most businesses is they don't know how to respond. They create a Twitter account, for example, for their restaurant, and then what? They don't even check it to know if anybody's over there trying to have a conversation with them. That's where it's so critical to be social and not just have social. I hear that a lot, that businesses might have I have a social media page, or I have a Twitter page, I have a Facebook page, where we have a Foursquare place to check in, but they're not checking in, meaning they're not going there and looking at who's talking with them, and they're doing their own business a disservice by doing that.
Great. As far as my personal experience as a former restaurateur, for the Twitter, what should I actually put in my bio? Should I tell them about myself or about the concept about the restaurant?
So there's two things that you can do. Either you can have a Twitter account for the actual restaurant, and you can have a Twitter account for yourself, the owner of the restaurant. Those are two completely separate brands. You have a personal brand as a restaurateur that can benefit nonprofits. It can benefit social components within your government or community. And so you as a presence yourself is saying, hey, I have a restaurant. If you guys need a place to meet, if you need council meetings, if you need something catered, excuse me, for a nonprofit, you can, as a restaurateur, have a presence on Twitter just for that. And that bio should speak to what kind of value you give to the community. Whereas with the restaurant, you can talk about the benefits, features, and advantages of that specific restaurant, plus providing links to either thatrestaurants.com, their Facebook page, just various other places on the web where I can get more information.
Basically, as you are saying, I should have a personal Twitter account as a restaurant owner and one as a restaurant manager. And then how can I link these two accounts together and not actually using more materials? You got to have a lot of stuff to post.
Right, Twitter doesn't give you a whole lot of space. About 160 characters in the bio to tell the whole world everything about you. So you can link it so that you can say all the things you need to say about your restaurant on the restaurant's Twitter handle, but as the restaurateur, you can say, I own at the name of the restaurant, and it becomes a one-click direct route to the restaurant where people can get more information. Even on the restaurant, you could say, this restaurant's owned by at, and then have your personal Twitter handle there, and have it redirect through your Twitter bio, whether it's on a mobile device or you're sitting at your computer and clicking on things and just trying to garner information. It's really great. And the other thing that you had just said, if you're a restaurant manager, is with the restaurant as a Twitter account, you can actually assign members of your staff to monitor and manage that account so that you don't have to. Say, for example, you've got one general manager, you own it, you have a general manager and 4 assistant managers because you're a busy restaurant.
Yes.
That general manager can monitor the Twitter account on Wednesdays, and then you can break up the other days of the week through the other 4 assistant managers. And you can even say in the bio that this account's managed by Tony, Tim, Sally, Jeff, and Steve. And then as they tweet out and build relationships through that restaurant, they could even be tagging their name at the end of each tweet so that I know I talked to Steve yesterday, but today it's Tony and tomorrow it's Sally.
Yes,
I know exactly who I'm talking to. So I'm not only building rapport for the restaurant or with the restaurant, I'm also building it with its management staff.
Great.
What can you actually say in 140 character messages to promote a restaurant?
That's a great question. The more impressive question, or the more important question underneath that is what you don't say. It's actually what you listen for. So Twitter is really, in my opinion, it's 70-80% listening. A very, very small percentage of that is actually what you say in 140 characters. You have an obligation to go out there, of course, and tweet out that you're having, a half-off deal or happy hour or whatever as a restaurateur. But most people aren't sitting at their computer staring at all the people they follow on Twitter. I mean, I follow 2,200 people on Twitter. I'm not sitting at my computer hoping that restaurant has, a happy hour and then I get to partake in that. Really, what's more important is using that. This is really good. You guys are going to love this. There's a restaurant in Austin, Texas called Downtown Burger. Well, at least I thought it was a restaurant because I was sitting at a coffee shop about 11:15 in the morning one day, and I just tweeted out that I was free for lunch. I was done with all my appointments for the day. I was free for lunch. I was in Austin. I wanted to know if anybody who was actually sitting at their computer looking wanted to join me for lunch. Maybe somebody I'd never met before, somebody I'd only met digitally through Twitter, make a new friend, have lunch with them, enjoy the experience. Well, this restaurant that I didn't even know was following me saw that tweet, and they responded and said, why don't you come have lunch at our place? So I responded back and said, where are you at? We kind of got into a little dialogue. It turns out that I was actually talking to the owner, a guy named Steve, and Steve said, yeah, come on down, and if you check in on Foursquare, I'll give you your fries and drink for free. You're just paying for the burger. So I thought that was great. So I went down there to find out that it was it's just a small building, a shack, really, with a window that they serve burgers out of, and some tables with some tents over them, and it was raining. But I was so impressed with Steve having, responded to me that I went out of my way to go down there and have lunch. So it wasn't anything about what he did say, hey, why don't you come lunch with me? But what was more important was that he was taking the time at 11:15 in the morning to listen to who he was following, what they had to say.
With all these tools that are out there in social media like Facebook, Twitter and Foursquare and YouTube, where do you see the social media is going in restaurant industry, or I better say in the marketing as a general?
Gosh, it could go 1,000 different ways. So if I had to predict, definitely video. You mentioned YouTube. People want to see. If I've never been to your restaurant before, show me what it looks like. Show me what the food looks like. If you've got one of those places where the girls that are servers all wear plaid mini skirts and knee-high socks, make a video out of that. Let me see that. That might appeal to me. It might not. It might turn me off. But you don't know. And really what you want to do is you don't want me to walk in there thinking it was one place and finding out it's another.
Funny, yeah.
Video will really help me do that. Photos, obviously, Instagram, Facebook just bought them. They're integrated very deeply with Foursquare, and it's all based on photos. Pinterest, again, very photo heavy, video heavy. So I would definitely say that the future of social and online social networking is very graphically heavy, photos, videos, that kind of thing.